Hello everyone, my name's Laeticia Sevin and welcome to the International Opportunities Podcast. This series will give you an insight into our students' first-hand experiences abroad, whether that be a study exchange or work placement. From Fiji to Canada, our students have done amazing things abroad and we want to showcase that to all of you. If you're thinking about going abroad for your studies or for work, then this series will hopefully give you some inspiration, tips and advice.
Hello everyone, today I am joined with Lucy. Welcome back, Lucy. It's great to have you in the studio again.
Thanks for having me back, Laeticia. I'm really pleased to be back.
Oh, thank you. Now, listeners, if you haven't already, then make sure you go and listen to episode 9, where I chatted with Lucy about her thoughts and feelings prior to going to Canada. Now, this episode is about Lucy coming back from Canada and her experiences, and we talked a lot about goals and what Lucy wants to achieve in the previous podcast. So yeah, make sure you go back and listen to episode 9 if you haven't already. Now, Lucy is a third-year theatre and performance student who has recently returned from a month-long podcasting course at Humber College in Canada. So it's great to have you back. Can you give us a brief overview of the course?
Oh, honestly, Laeticia, it was the best month of my life, I think. It was so good. So the first week when I arrived, we had orientations. We got to know, because we were staying on campus, we got to know the campus, which is Lakeshore campus, next to the massive Lake Ontario. And then the first week we had a research boot camp, which was really cool. So we had Dr. Ginger Grant, who was such a personality, teaching us for a week all about all different research methods. And then after that, so there's about 30 of us who did that. And then the next week, about another 150 students arrived from across the whole of the world. So I'm talking Argentina, India, from Nigeria. There were students from Ireland, loads of students from Ireland actually. And then we started our 3-week courses. So loads of us were doing different courses, but I was doing the podcasting course. And that was just brilliant. We went from it's basically an introduction to podcasting, but by the end of it, we'd all developed a pilot episode for our first podcast.
Oh, wow.
So it's pretty amazing in 3 weeks that we got that all done.
And what were your initial reactions when you first landed in Canada?
Oh, it was so nice. I was greeted at the airport by the Global Summer School's student mentors. And it was just me who'd arrived on that plane. So, yeah, I had them all to myself. And they were really good. So I went straight to the accommodation and got settled in. And then I just couldn't get over how nice the weather was. Not to make everyone in the UK jealous, because I was there for the whole of July, but it was 25 to 35 degrees every day.
It's hot in summer there, isn't it?
Yeah, it was so nice though. It's really nice. I actually got a tan for possibly the first time in my life.
Better than being in Salford.
Yeah.
So what surprised or excited you the most about the campus, the people or the city in general?
That's a really good question. I think I knew from the Canadians I've met in the UK, I knew they were friendly, but they're genuinely so nice, so respectful, positive but not in an annoying way, and they genuinely want you to do well. So there was quite a lot of home students on the podcasting course and they were so good to bounce ideas off. Also, again, I've briefly been to America in the past and places like Australia, so I knew the city was built on a grid system, but it was so easy to find your way around. So Toronto is Manchester supersized, but it's huge, isn't it? But it's a lot, not to do Manchester down, but it's a lot cleaner and a lot easier to find your way around. So that was great. I felt very safe and at home, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So I was quite surprised how at home I felt. Also, I wasn't quite prepared for how patriotic Canadians are. There were so many Canadian flags and a lot of British flags as well, because I hadn't even thought about it, but obviously some of their notes and things have the monarchs of the UK on, which just isn't a thought that had crossed through my mind.
That's interesting. Whereabouts did you stay? Did you stay in Etobicoke?
Yes, so I did. So I stayed in Etobicoke, and I was on the accommodation on Lakeshore campus, which is where all my courses were. So it's really convenient in the mornings. We'd walk somewhere to have breakfast. So they provided us with breakfast and lunch every day, and then we just sorted out our own dinners. So I stayed in, everyone had a 2-bed flat. So it's really nice. You had your own room, so you could, obviously with a lockable door like accommodation in the UK, and then you shared a kitchenette and a bathroom. And then on the ground floor, they had a proper kitchen. So if you wanted to go and batch cook some meals for the week, you could go down there and do that. So I've never lived in, I've obviously been into a lot of university halls, but I've never actually lived in them. And it was really nice, actually. Like, my room was really nice. It was like, my roommate was amazing. So yeah, it was nice.
Was your roommate an international student as well?
Yes, although she was from the UK as well, so from Nottingham
cool.
Trent Uni. Yeah, my roommate Michelle, so she was doing child development through play course, so quite different, but it's really interesting. Like, at the end of each day we could kind of chat to each other about what we'd been doing that day, and it was quite different.
So what were your main takeaways from the summer school?
Oh, that's a really good question again. I think probably a bit of, it sounds a bit like cheesy, but a bit of like self-belief. Like, the tutors I had for the podcasting, well, all of the research bootcamp was amazing, but I had David Common and Kate Evans teaching the podcasting course, and they are like really expert in their field. David Common is like, used to be an international news reporter. He does like national news in the morning on Canadian radio, so CBC, which is basically their version of the BBC, which we got to visit actually, and it was like BBC Manchester but bigger again.
I saw the pictures on your Instagram. It looked so cool.
So good. They were so friendly. They let us go into like the production room watching like live news. We got to stand in the TV studio with the presenter when she was doing live news. It was really good. So he's like a household name there, but he's so humble. And then you've got Kate Evans, who's a senior producer there. So she produces things like, I believe she's worked on quite a big podcast called The Secret Life of Canada. So we knew we were learning from the best. And it's really nice because they really believed in all of us. They really like gave you really good feedback, were really encouraging, and they just helped you kind of like grow, but they weren't overbearing or anything. They let you do your own thing and then just gave you like tips and pointers. Right. So yeah, so I think that I'd take away. I'd also just take away that like people from across the world are really friendly. I knew that anyway, but it was so nice getting to meet people from different countries and learn a bit about their culture and how it differed and things, because obviously even the Canadian culture differed to here. You know, there was I think there's quite a few hilarious interactions where I'd go downstairs and I said to reception, oh, do you have any bin bags? And they looked at me blankly. And then I was like, trash bags? Trash bags?
Trash.
Trash. And then they were like, oh, and the word loo does not exist in Canada.
No.
Everyone looks at you blankly and you're like, where's the loo? And then you realise, oh yeah, washroom.
It's when you say to people, you go, hi, you all right? And they go, yeah, why?
Yes.
You're like, oh no, sorry, it just meant like, how are you?
Yeah, they looked at me like, they'd be really suspicious, like, yeah, why do I not look okay?
They're like, am I not okay?
Yeah.
I got that a lot. What projects did you do whilst you were there, and how did you find them?
So the podcasting course, we basically went from the basics of what makes a good and a bad podcast, because we've realised that I listen to a lot of podcasts, but like they said, it's really good to listen to ones that aren't that good, because you learn what you wouldn't do or what to avoid.
Okay.
And
so
then
listen to this one then.
No, this one would be great. But it was really good. And then it was kind of like developing loads. We did like a sounding board of ideas. So I'd gone planning to do one kind of to interview fellow teammates from the Transplant Games, but actually I'm still probably going to do that on like a chat cast. But actually I had another idea that kind of came up when we were brainstorming of working on stories of forgotten females. So find basically women in history who've just been not credited for work they've done, totally forgotten, or someone else is like a male has had to take the credit, or they've had to publish stuff under a male name. So that was really interesting. I realised it'd be a lot of work because you've got to obviously find these people that you haven't really heard of, and then obviously do the research, try and interview people. But that was really good to start developing that with the help of Kate and David. And so by the end I'd actually developed a pilot episode for that, so a 15-minute episode with so we did all the editing, all the music and everything. I did an interview on it as well.
Oh, wow.
So it's really good having like experience learning interview techniques, how to get the best out of your interviewee, all of that. So I'm going to take away loads of skills that I didn't have before I went.
Do you have plans then to set this podcast up?
Yeah, no, definitely. I'm really hoping I can build it into one of my modules in the last semester of final year.
Oh, cool.
Hopefully I can. Even if I can't, or that will still be, I'm planning to get it started kind of by next summer so that I can have like a routine podcast. It's going to be quite a lot of work that goes into each episode, and I'd love to start a Chatcast one. Ideally, obviously I'll get to the stage it might even earn me some money. But I think I'm just going to really enjoy doing it. So even if it's just a fun hobby, that'll be really good. So I love podcasts. It's made me love them even more, to be honest.
Yeah. How did the programme shape or refine your podcasting style?
So I think that was quite good because I learn like how it's quite good to be individual or distinct in what you're doing. Especially because nowadays there's so many podcasts.
There is.
Like, which is great, but you want to stand out from the others and make people want to listen or want to listen again. I think it really helped being in a class of, I think there's about 20 of us, and everyone had really original ideas. We all listened to each other's pilot episodes, and there wasn't a dud one there. They were all really good. It was like from like someone doing ghost stories to like nutrition advice to one of my friends, Marcus, he did one presenting Scooby-Doo episodes like they were real murders. So he did it really seriously, but it just made everyone laugh. It was great.
Way. That's so cool.
So it's really good. But they all like really embrace their own individual style.
What would you say your style is?
I don't know. I think for the Forgotten Females, I think I'm going to interview and obviously make sure it's really kind of obviously factual, that it's reliable sources, good interviews, but obviously as the interviewer, hopefully a little bit of my personality will come across.
Yeah.
Because I'd really like people to kind of listen to it. I can almost imagine it. Again, I listen to like a lot of Radio 4 and things. Like there's a lot of things on there that I really enjoy listening to because I know that they come from reliable sources. Whereas the Chatcast, again, I think that's going to be more of like a conversation, a more free-flowing kind of thing, and just seeing where it goes. Obviously, being mindful of what the interviewee is happy to discuss and things. So I think they're going to be quite different, but I want to make them distinctly different as well.
You previously said that you wanted to do really well on the course and say yes to everything. You said that in our pre-departure interview. Do you think that you've made the most of the opportunity and you've fulfilled your goals for the course?
Yeah, I think I actually did. I mean, I was really lucky. The Global Summer School, as well as having the courses, they organise loads of trips for us. So, I mean, my favourite one was Niagara Falls. We got to go and see it. So it was like 30 degrees. It was just beautiful. Like we got to go on the Made in the Mist.
Did you get soaked?
Oh, yes, but do you know what? Everyone rushed to the side of the boat so they could get pictures.
Yeah.
Then when we got really close, they all got absolutely soaked. So then I waited till they'd all like moved out the way and I went in to get my pictures.
Yeah, all my pictures are just crowds of people getting soaked.
Yeah, in ponchos. Yeah,
yeah.
In the red ponchos for the Canadians, because on the other side it's the blue ponchos
for
the people from the States.
I forgot about that. Yeah.
Yeah. So no, that was really good. But then they also, so obviously we went to see CBC. Trying to think, what else did we do? We did treetop trekking.
Ooh.
There was like river rafting. What else did we do? Oh my gosh, we did so much. Like just going around Lake Ontario, it's so nice because after a day of classes, you could go for like, I hired a bike, went for a cycle ride. You could go sit at the beach. You could go for a walk.
So much to do.
So much to do. It was like, and you, obviously like a lot of the wildlife I saw is really common there.
Yeah.
But I'd see things like raccoons and things like that.
Yeah, and
skunks. They're actually really cute, aren't they? Yeah.
Adorable.
Thankfully, I didn't see any coyotes. I was a bit worried.
I saw one when I was there. It was terrifying.
Oh my gosh,
it looks cute though. Like
from a distance, I bet.
From a distance, yeah.
So so no, they took us. So that meant I got to do lots of stuff, and then I got to know some of the Canadians there, and then like they'd take me to like a different beach or things, or like we'd go and explore a different part of the city that maybe isn't the one that's like listed on the touristy websites, but actually is a really like is a hidden treasure in Canada as well.
That's important though, to make friends with the locals who know the area because they know all the anti-tourist spots.
Yeah, and they know all the ones. Like I'm very aware as well. Like you go to some places and you'll get sold, you know, this, and it's actually overpriced. Or, but saying that, we did do. Me and my friend Michelle, we went to do CNN Tower, and that was worth it. It was so good. Like seeing views across Toronto is just amazing. And then like afterwards we went to like a games arcade bar, which was bigger than any bar I've ever been in the UK.
Across the road from the aquarium. I know what you mean. It's so cool, isn't it?
It's so cool.
It's like NQ64 on steroids.
It is. Yeah, that's the perfect description actually. Yeah. So yeah, that was really cool. So it's just really nice, like, because we just invite people from the summer school, and whoever wanted to come would come and hang out. So it's a nice way to get to know people as well.
And I heard you went to a 50 Cent concert.
Yeah, I did. How can I forget that? So 50 Cent was playing. They've got a big club called Rebel. Well, you probably know me. I'm not that big on. I like clubs and things, but I'm not that big on indoor crowds.
Yeah, big crowd.
But there was quite a few people going from the Global Summer School, and I love 50 Cent. Like, I've never seen him live. So I was like, no, I'm gonna go. And I was a bit worried about, because it can hold like 4,000 people, and I wasn't sure, having not been to a Canadian club, how people behaved.
Yeah.
Actually, they were so respectful. Like, you couldn't, security was so tight, you couldn't take any liquids in or anything. And I had a really good night. He did about a 45-minute set. It was quite late. It was like he'd be on between 10 p.m. and 3 a.m.
Oh, wow, that was late.
Yeah, and I think the DJ kept saying he'll be here in 5 minutes, and then half an hour pass. But in the end, I think he came about 1:15 and he finished at 2.
Oh my God.
But it was so worth it. Like, yeah, it was amazing.
You also mentioned in the pre-departure interview that you were looking forward to making friends from around the world. So tell me about all the friends you made.
Oh, yeah, so I'm so lucky. Like, I've made friends from like Bhutan, Taiwan, Vietnam. Also, we've even actually, some of us met up last month. So some of the like British or like Irish students. So one of our friends, Jamie, came over from Ireland and he did a little tour of the UK, going to see all his friends he'd made. So I think it's about 6 or 7 of us met up in Liverpool for pizza and things.
Oh, lovely.
So it's so nice. So like, it's genuinely people I've stayed in touch with and I will see. Like, just genuinely got on really well with everyone. And like, I think they all know, if anyone visits the UK, like, they can drop any of us a message. And like, obviously, if they're in Manchester or Salford, I'll happily meet up with them and show them around. So, yeah, I wasn't like expecting to make. I don't know what I was expecting. I was expecting to make friends, but like, just so many people that I've made friends with. It's so nice.
Genuine connection.
Yeah, genuine connections as well.
And how did you make friends? Was there any mixer events when you got there?
Yeah, so obviously the people who did the research boot camp, we kind of nicknamed ourselves the OG team because we were like, oh, we've already been here a week. So you know what it's like when you arrive somewhere new and you don't necessarily know how breakfast works and things like that. So I think we all bonded quite well, like about 30 of us, because it's enough people you can get to know. And then obviously new people join, so it's really nice. So one of the best ways, I think, was Monday nights, we all would all go down like a karaoke bar.
Ooh,
and
where was that?
It was in Etobicoke. It was like about 200 metres down the road.
I didn't hear about this.
Well, no, we only found this out because one of the tutors who'd come, I think she'd come from Ireland, and her last night, she and some of her master's students went out and they just stumbled across this karaoke bar, and like, apparently they loved it. So after that, every Monday, this poor karaoke bar that probably only has about 10 people on a Monday night suddenly was like flooded with 50 students.
Oh, I would have loved that.
It was so fun, but it was a really nice way just to like hang out with everyone. And then we just do things like going to Toronto together, go to the beach together.
How was the public transport?
It was really good, actually. So we got I think of it as the tram, but it's the streetcar. It's like
streetcar, yeah.
Yeah, again, it's like a tram, but supersized. That was really good. And then you could just get off and get a train into Toronto. It's really easy. I know some of the Canadians said, oh, be careful on the subway because it can be a bit salubrious. But I got it and I was like, You've not been to London. Tried the underground. This is pretty good in comparison. A lot cleaner.
It's not bad, is it?
No. So it was really easy to get around, and also Ubers were pretty like easy.
Yeah.
I think they were actually cheaper, like because obviously our exchange rate's quite good at the moment. It was cheaper than getting an Uber in the UK. So if you did, like for example, off the 50 Cent concert, obviously it was really late, so we shared an Uber back.
Crazy cheap because it's like $20 to get from Etobicoke to the centre, which is like, that's like a 45-minute drive.
It is.
You'd be paying like £60 over here for a 45-minute drive.
Yeah,
pretty good. And I had Uber One as well, so I was getting like discount off everything.
Oh yeah,
recommend Uber One.
Yeah, Samia, one of the girls from Nottingham Trent, had that, and everyone was like, "Yeah, we're getting in Samia's Uber." Yeah,
got them so much cheaper.
Yeah.
Did you form connections with other students, mentors, or industry professionals?
Yeah, I think I did actually. So the other students are like, we've actually got a WhatsApp set up with, and there's quite a lot of the Canadian home students in there. So like if anyone does their first podcast interview or like wants to let us know about some project they're doing, we'll post in there. And like they're genuinely people like I would love to work with in the future. I mean, I've now got, because I've completed the podcasting course, I think it's classed as like a professional credit. So if I did want to study in the Canada again, it would make it a little bit easier, I think.
Yeah.
And like Kate and David were so nice. They were like, if you ever do your podcast and want us to listen and like kind of give you some like useful feedback, they'd happily, like, bearing in mind they're very busy people with families and work, but they were like, yeah, just let us know. They're like, we'd love to keep in touch. So it's really nice, like, knowing if I did ever go back over to Canada, that they would happily kind of stay in touch.
Did you collaborate with other students on any project?
Yeah, so actually obviously, if I was doing the podcast for real in the UK, I interviewed, you can't see the quotation marks, but I interviewed a NASA scientist. I mean, sadly, I don't have NASA scientists in my phone book at the moment, but one of my classmates, who I've now named Dr. Abby Lentini, helped me out with that. So obviously, I would actually interview real people in these positions if I had the opportunity. But yeah, and like I had help, like we'd help each other with like, just in class, we'd go in and like test stuff for each other and things. So everyone was really happy to help each other out. It's really nice.
Good. How has the experience changed you personally or professionally?
I think because I felt so at home in Canada, I genuinely would happily possibly study there in the future, or if I could get some work there.
Yeah.
I can see myself, living there, which I kind of thought maybe, but I didn't. It would have been quite an upheaval to be like, yeah, I'm moving to Canada without kind of knowing. I'd love to go back and just travel as well. And I think it's just given me a bit more, I know we kind of hate this word in our industry, but a bit more confidence with that I actually could do a podcast that people might listen to and they might like.
People will definitely listen to
it. I think that's it though. I think
Definitely.
when you're doing like freelance artist work, the worst critic is usually yourself, because you listen back to stuff and all you hear is the mistakes.
Yeah.
But actually, David Commons said, because like quite a few people had to leave the room when their podcast was on because they just hate listening to their own voice. And he said, only arseholes like listening to their own voice.
Yeah.
And that's so true, because all of us were sat there like grimacing when we heard.
Yeah.
And he's like, yeah, but he said, I'm loving listening to you all. He was like, it's just because you're own. So it's really nice knowing that you're not the only person who feels like that as well.
Gives you that reassurance.
Yeah.
Because I'm like that with the podcast sometimes. You penalise yourself, don't you? And then other people listen and they're like, wow, that was so good. Like, oh, I don't want to hear
And you're
it.
like, really? Yeah, exactly.
In the previous interview, you spoke about how your health condition might be a challenge when it comes to travelling. Did you face any challenges with this? And if so, how did you overcome them?
So I was really lucky, like you guys at the International Opportunities team were really helpful, like asking literally about a million questions about clauses in the insurance contract. So there's two policies. So there's one that's part of the Global Summer School, and then there's one that's provided through an insurer through Uni of Salford. So I'd first been looking at the Global Summer School one, and I wasn't quite sure because it had wording like grandfathering clause, and because I've got like pre-existing health conditions, I wasn't 100% sure if something happened related to them, if it'd be covered. Right. But thankfully, I got in touch directly with the insurers for Uni of Salford, and they're like, no, you'll be covered. And then I was a bit worried about whether some of the activities would be covered, like river rafting and things. But actually, again, I spoke to an underwriter who provides the Uni of Salford policy, and he's like, no, that is all covered. Like, so if an accident did occur or something while you're river rafting, he confirmed it'd be covered. So that was really good.
Bro.
And then I just made sure that I was quite aware of how, if I did need health treatment, how I could get it before I went. But like, I was so lucky, the mentors and like the staff there were so good at, like, if you had any problems, they'd immediately be like, oh, you can go and do this. And I took like double the medication I needed out. I took like spare antibiotics and things. So I was like, if I do get ill, at least I've got stuff ready here, if that makes sense. So, I mean, obviously being a global summer school, a lot of mixing. There was a week or two where viruses were going around. So I did get one of them, but luckily, it wasn't too bad. And they were just so understanding, really.
Yeah. What are you most proud of from the whole experience?
Oh, that's good. I don't know. I guess being a bit older, I think I'm kind of proud of myself for just going and embracing it and having fun. I think, because especially like when you're busy working and studying, it's so sometimes to make sure you have that downtime or like I realised how important it is to just hang out with people to get to know them and stuff. So I'd be like, right, done the work for today. Let's just stop now and let's just go and like chill out with these guys and just get to know people.
How did you find that balance though?
It was, do you know what? It was okay. It was when I was ill for like about 10 days, nothing like too serious.
Yeah.
It wasn't, it was a little bit trickier, but then all of the staff and all of the students were so supportive, like genuinely, like, again, my friend who's just across the hall, Marcus, was literally like messaging me all day saying like, if you need anything, I'll pop to the shops for you. Like my roommate was great. Like if I couldn't make it to breakfast, she'd bring stuff back. So I was so lucky. Like they were so caring. Like they really looked after each other.
You also said in the pre-departure interview that from the experience you hope to create your own podcast about the British Transplant Games. We have just spoke a little bit about you wanting to do that. Are you still wanting to do a podcast about the British Transplant Games?
Yeah, definitely. I think I'll probably build it into this chat cast, and because the idea is I'll kind of probably interview, obviously, I'm very lucky, I know a lot of inspirational people, interview them and just about their lives and maybe what has been kind of turning points in their lives, kind of how they've navigated. I mean, obviously, like, especially having a transplant when you're a bit older or as a, as an adult or a teenager, especially if you haven't been ill before, like that's transplant's a massive life change, but obviously for someone who maybe was perfectly well before, so I think that's kind of the rough plan. Again, I think it's going to be kind of quite relaxed and hopefully I can just see where the conversation takes us as well.
Definitely. And do you feel now you've got all the skills, everything you need to start your own podcast?
No, I definitely do. I think having done a bit of everything, I can kind of see how I can easily build on it and things, and having done a pilot episode, I feel pretty confident. Like I think it will take me a bit longer until I get in the swing of it, because again, I'm quite good at, as you might guess, chatting. But yeah, the
professional yappers.
Yeah, exactly. But the editing side, I think I'm going to be a little bit slower just because I'm not as, technologically minded. But I think when I get into a rhythm with it, I think I'll probably quite enjoy it as well.
Yeah, definitely. It's actually not too bad editing.
No, it is quite fun. Like once you get into kind of like a rhythm.
How easy was it for you when you got back to Salford to just adjust back into the Salford uni style compared to Humber?
Oh yeah, that's a good question. I was quite lucky because I got back start of August, so I had I was then back into working, but I was very lucky that in my 30s my mum still came to collect me from the airport.
Oh, I love that.
Because I flew from Gatwick because it was a little bit cheaper than flying from Manchester, but also I've got family down south, so I could stay with them for a couple of days to kind of get over the jet lag or just lack of sleep, because obviously there's about a 5-hour time difference, so it just makes it a bit difficult. And then I think just going back into work, I was a bit tired. Obviously, everyone is, aren't they? Like, and obviously it's a little bit of sometimes it's a bit of a come down coming back, isn't it? Because you go from like an amazing, like non-stop fun for 4 weeks to back to reality. But it was really nice because I then made sure I caught up with loads of friends who wanted to hear about it. And then obviously, come mid-September, we started final year, but I'm really enjoying final year because I'm doing 3D motion capture and TV acting this term, both of which I wanted to do. So, so it's been like probably adjusting to the weather. That was a bit of a shock, but
it will be cold in Canada by now, so you're
yeah,
okay,
that's true. That is true. So but apart from that, just being sad I wasn't in Canada.
It's so sad. I was looking through pictures and videos of when I went today, and it's so emotional. It goes so quick.
It does. It feels a bit like a surreal dream as well.
It does. It doesn't feel like you're actually ever there. I was looking at the videos and pictures like, was I actually there? It's so weird.
Yeah, it is. I know everyone says that, don't they, if they've had like an amazing holiday and then they have to go back to work and it feels like it never happened after a week. But I think because I've managed to stay in touch with people, that's really nice.
And do you have any advice for students in terms of their application to go abroad?
I think I would definitely advise doing it because there is, obviously they have to assess your financial circumstances, but there is funding available. And I would just say it's such a good opportunity. Like I really enjoyed it. Obviously another bonus is it's going to make you stand out a bit when you graduate because it's something different on your CV. That's not really why I did it. I've always wanted to kind of go to Canada and like the fact I could do podcasting was just brilliant. But I just say also get on and do it as well. Don't procrastinate too much. like if the international opportunities team are lovely, but like if they ask you for something, just get it to them, get it done, then you can tick that off your list. And yeah, I didn't find the admin too bad, to be fair, but then I think because I kept on top of it.
Yeah, you've just got to be organised, and if you let it all build up, you'll have loads of paperwork to do all last minute.
Yeah.
So yeah, definitely be efficient with your application.
Yes.
Makes everyone's lives easier.
Definitely.
Now, do you have any final words on the impact of the experience as a whole?
I think just brilliant. Genuinely, can't fault it. And I would just say, if you have that opportunity, do it. Like, when in your life you're going to get at least some partial funding to go and live and experience another country and potentially learn a new skill, like, do it while you can.
Exactly. Now, if you want to follow Lucy's journey and want to follow her on Instagram, I'll pop that in the bio if that's okay, Lucy.
Yeah, of course.
Get your permission.
Yeah, perfect.
Bro, and I'll pop that in the bio and you can follow Lucy's journey because you're just always doing amazing, incredible things. You're a great person.
Oh, thank you. Well, same to you. So yeah, very inspirational lady sat next to me.
Oh, it's been so nice having you back in here. Now, if you listeners want to find out more about study exchanges or work placements, then please visit the Student Hub International Opportunities page. There you can find out about our drop-in sessions, application processes and partnerships. I'll see you in next week's episode where we'll be hearing from more of our amazing students about their overseas placements. Please like, share and subscribe to this podcast so you can hear more and we can spread the word about our international opportunities. We'll see you next time.